Square Wave, Dangerous Saw, combination of champions. Welcome to the Final Nights project file. It is very big, as you can tell. There's a lot of tracks. So this is the main project file that we used, or at least I used. It has, as you can tell, everything, including LURV's drop. But first I want to start out with this intro. We're just going to work our way left to right here. This intro, actually, ironically enough, as it's called Final Nights 2, we used almost literally nothing from Final Nights 2. At least my side did, except for LURV, because LURV likes Final Nights 2, and he wants to be true to everything, because it's LURV. So I used, for this intro, the FNAF 4, I'm pretty sure it's FNAF 4, the cricket sound, I think this is the cricket sound from FNAF 4. Let's take a look. Open up. Where did we find this? It is under... Yes, it is the crickets from... I think this is FNAF 3. Nope, it's not FNAF 3. I think it's FNAF 4. We're going to go with FNAF 4, guys. But then I layered that kind of like... This kind of intro is to put you in a space of like you're walking in almost, or you're sitting in a room, as we all know. That's how Five Nights at Freddy's works. You sit in a room and do stuff. But then I have these clock chimes underneath them, which are pulled from which game? Also FNAF 4. So if you've played FNAF 4, you've probably heard this before. But it's just to kind of give it some like space, give you kind of where we're at, ringing those clock chimes out. And then underneath here we have some footsteps that come in to just kind of, something's coming. I don't know what it is. We don't know what it is yet, but it's on the way. So it sounds like this, all in total. We got something down here I'm not going to talk about. I'm going to let you figure that one out.
Hey, glad you came back for another night.
Going on into our intro, we used, this should be a combination of both FNAF 3's Night 1 and Night 2, where the phone guy is talking about, welcome back. It's going to be a lot different this time, as you can tell if you've listened already, which you should go listen to it right now so you understand what I'm talking about.
Hey, glad you came back for another
But for this
night.
vocal, there's a lot of processing here.
More interesting this time.
Let's give it a second here.
Hey,
So this is what the original sounds like.
Glad you came back for another night. I promise.
Very
it'll be a lot
dry,
more interesting
just
this
pulled
time.
directly from the
So let me
game.
just update you real quick, then you can get to work.
And then so I added just some compression here, just utterly
glad you came back
slamming
for
it,
another night.
just
I
to kind of
promise
pull
it'll be
those
a lot
dynamics
more
way
interesting this
down,
time.
so we can just do
update you
all
real
kinds of
quick,
crazy stuff
then
to
you
it.
can get to work.
Adding some redux to give it kind of like that old phone texture,
Everything works.
more UAD, plate reverb, give it that VHS reverb feedback-y thing, more tape delay. Got an EQ here, just doing some EQing, saturating it, give it some distortion, running it through this channel strip that I have. I use this on all, and you'll see it on all of my tracks pretty much. Just kind of helps me balance out levels so I can focus on, instead of clipping, it stays at a really, really good volume. We're on to a tape stop, which is just used out here in the drop, which we can get there later, and then a limiter. Pretty basic stuff.
So we have to make sure.
But that is the vocal, so, very ambient vocal, just kind of supposed to be in the background. On top of that, I've got some ambience layers, multiple of them. I'm using, see here, I'm pretty sure this is a FNAF 2 one. Yeah, this is a FNAF 2 ambience. I think this is, where did this come from? I want to say this is the title screen ambience, but again, using that channel strip. Crystallizer, see what it's doing. It's giving a little bit of that upwards. You just heard some sidechain in the background there. I should have turned that off real quick. 1 second. Turn off the sidechain. But this ambience here delves, just has a lot of like that crystallizer, give it those upper harmonics to kind of give it some tone. And then a big old Valhalla, supermassive I love using this plugin. It is one of my favorite plugins to use in terms of like giant spaces. If I need like a huge space, this is my go-to. Can do some insane things just by turning up the delay and the feedback, and it still sounds like clean and like okay enough to where it's like it's a reverb. But that's laid out by itself. This one, we have our layers. Yeah, some crazy stuff going on here. This is actually being sent somewhere. This is our ambience bus. As you can tell, there's a lot of stuff going on here. This one ambience is actually layered with multiple layers. I've got this one, which is Scary Space, unironically used by LURV, which you'll see later on down the line. But essentially, this is one of my favorite tricks I love to use for huge ambiences, is to let's take these all off. Send one reverb or one ambience layer. We'll go to the ambience chain, this vocoder, and it takes from, let's see here, this one. Yeah, so it's taking it from the pre-effects here, and it's layers it up to give it a little bit more like that vocody tone. We have an envelope follower controlling the saturation, so it doesn't go too hard, but it gives a little bit of that characteristic, essentially running it through the equipment. If you've ever heard that term before. OTT, kind of bring it out. EQ, got the vocoder here, a phaser, crystallizer, a hybrid reverb using white noise. This is kind of like the second part of that big thing. White noise as a reverb is really good, especially if you just get a really long sample of it and just let it reverb it out, because it's a flat frequency across the full spectrum. So every frequency is balanced at a flat level, so it's all, I guess, at 0 in the case. And it basically convolutes it so much that it creates a big reverb space. More EQ. Here's the channel strip that I always mentioned before. I got a Pro Q doing some weird things. I guess we're boosting the lows that don't exist. And then, as we said before, Valhalla Supermassive. More of that giant reverb. I will say it's also being sent. I can pull this down real quick. You can see it's being sent to this. It's our D channel. Being sent to a room reverb, which is called the Big Ah Hall. So it's a 10-second reverb. Just a giant reverb to give it more space. Let's see here. And then a utility, I guess, is controlling the volume. Yeah, it cuts off right there. Those are our two ambience layers. Underneath that, we also have some swells down here. Just some more impacts, low impacts, to kind of give it that power. And then for the main synth layers, I have a cello drone it's a layer of 2, it looks like. We have Contact using Albion 1 and BBC Symphony Orchestra, just to kind of give it some undertone. And then on top of that, we have a Synth Reese, which is actually a preset that I use all the time, which is just a nice respace, low tone, just to give it some beef underneath that that vocal. And then now moving on to, we have the FM8 Spoop Pluck, which is a preset, I'm pretty sure, yes, called Telepath. This preset is one of my favorite presets. I always use it for something like horror-wise. When I make a horror track, I always use this. It's a fantastic preset, and it sounds like this. You can tell it's very low tone, and you can see here it actually goes up the octave here to go up and get that nice tone. So the background here, if I mute our synth plucks here, that's just a pad, we'll get to that.
Then you can get to work.
So it's very in the background, laid back, pushed into the mix. So you're kind of there, you can hear it out in the distance. And then on top of that, I layer a bell from a virtual ride preset. Look at that. Pretty funny. Yeah. This preset is just kind of like, it's a softer bell.
And nothing catches on fire.
Just go more of that layer, adding more. And then moving on to our break, we have more layers. So this gets layered with the octave, that little bell preset. We have another more like, definitely more FM8 bell. This comes from a little free little plugin. Very, very plucky sound. And all of these are very washed out with reverb. Not too much, but definitely give it that space. I also have a DX7 piano pulled from a free plugin, Dext. Fantastic plugin. I love 80s sounds, so I pull from all kinds of different synths, like Juno, Roland, anything Roland, Yamaha, anything from that stuff. So that's giving nice reverb. Also have a soft piano, the Labs one. I've kind of filtered out from using this piano now. I use Arturia's, what do they call it? Piano V3, I think. So I found more customization with it. Been able to do more. You can see I have an update available for it. I have not updated this thing in so long because I haven't used it since this project. What else we got? We also have an ARP. This is kind of one of the big things that's kind of building. Say Nexus preset. There you go. So it's kind of filters in, brings up to the moments. These ambiences keep going. Impacts. Vocal keeps going on. This leads us into the build as a clap builds in. That's kind of a moment. Building it up. Further and further and further. Did not mean to do that. We have kick drum here. Just a short, soft kick drum. Not too hard because we don't want to give away too much power before the drop because we want that drop to be very, very big and powerful. So that's just building up. Not doing anything. Just basic G clip. Soft clipping it so it doesn't sound too harsh on the clipping. And there's the main kick right there. We have LURV's Harmer bass that just kind of across the whole thing kind of builds up into almost like a riser, I guess you could consider it. But I kept it in the basses just because it was nice and easy for me. Our pianos, all that stuff. We also have a panning ARP, building even more tension. All our synths keep going. The break art comes up, going faster. Our ambiences fade out. We have a riser, one of my favorite risers to ever use. Impacts, downlifters, a more cinematic impact. That rumble. And then the vocal comes in. This is kind of the big part of the vocal. We use a specific line here.
Let me tell you about what's new, and you're not going to believe this. We found one. A real one.
And that's kind of like the moment. It's like, oh, they got something. They got something going. We don't know what it is, but we're about to find out. But we have the kick drum, the main kick drum, our drop kick drum kicks in. The pun intended, I guess. Big old kick drum. We have what I call the hyper saws, using a combination of a Morgan preset. Shout out MDK, my goat. And then also using what I call the chaos saws. In combination with each other, I call them the hyper saws. It's just, I love using this chords presets. It's very bright. I ended up rendering it out because I couldn't get the thing to line up because I was using auto pan to kind of give it that fade out. So I ended up just doing it manually here. And then we also have color ARPs, kind of those slowing down. Kind of that fake out moment. Down here, there should be a vocal. Yep, just a simple little vocal. Very basic vocal using manipulator to pitch it up because we're pitching it down in here. And then ended up wanting to pitch it up a little bit more. De-essing it, basic vocal stuff. EQ, compressing, channel strip, and then limiting it. And then we get into the drop. So the drop starts with, obviously, our kick drum, which I often can show you here. I use a lot. In this case, I use 3 different layers. So I have, when I do kick drums, I don't like to use like just throw a kick drum in there and like call it a day. I like to layer them up because I like to get them to very sound unique to the track instead of just being like, okay, kick drum here, call it a day. So we have the main, this is our main kick. This is what I call like the, I don't know the word, like the main sound of the kick. This is where most of that power is going to come into. We have a layer, a little high layer, give it some nice brightness to it, and then a little sound to kind of more add some punch down in that like muddiness area, but clean muddiness. So you get that nice power, shifting it up on the there, doing some processing here, transient shaping, and then just pull it over here, clipping it. Newfangled Audio is great. Saturate is great for clean clipping. I use this more when it comes to mastering. It's very good to like just clip your waveform because, you know, dubstep, we're very, very loud. We don't like to be quiet. We like to be insane. And if you clip too much, obviously you get too much distortion. This plugin does a great job of keeping the distortion to a minimum while being able to push it really, really far. Especially in the master, I was able to push it like almost like 8 decibels into 0 before it started to like sound like disgustingly like gross and not in a good way. So yeah, highly recommend Newfangled Saturate. Fantastic plugin. What else we got here? We have the snare main. If I could solo it. It looks like it's on the clap actually. It's the clap. Look at that. The clap is actually layered with this kick down here. So you have a HYPERTRONICS clap. What is this? Virtual Riot kick. So I just pulled in the kick actually here, and it looks, yeah, I'm just filtering it out just to kind of layer it with the clap to give it more power underneath. And a little more high end to it. And then I'm layering that with a snare that looks like it did not end up getting used. The rim snare, that's what it is. It's the rim snare. Just kind of that rim shot to give it more. You can kind of hear it underneath. It gives it more of that like tonal sound. And then all together, these are clipped using standard clip. I just like the character of this one. Just kind of clipping those together gives it a little bit more crunch, especially when that clap comes in, because there's already so much low end in there. It goes that much. You can tell. Actually, I can show you here. You can see there's that much more versus the kick right there. And what that does is it just gives it more crunch when the clap comes in, and it makes it more sound a little bit more powerful. On top of that, we've got hats doing stuff. Just normal. Very basic, like rhythm, like tear out, groove. Very simple, nothing crazy with a cymbal crash. Sub, noisy sub. There's a lot of processing here. I would love to go into this at some point. I might make a future video on this. I just have a lot of sub. There's a lot of sub processing. I like to keep it noisy, so it has, obviously you can hear a lot of harmonics up in there. And then we have, yeah, I can start working on the basses. First bass here, very basic. The poop saw, typical poop saw stuff. I'm doing that pitch down to give us a little bit more impact. Kind of gets taken away because of the side chain, but yeah, which actually real quick before I get into that, I should probably explain my side chain. It's a very simple side chain. As you can tell, it's one plugin, compactor, ring mod side chain, very simple. At least for this project file. In the mixing project file, I ended up going into doing careful sidechaining using a combination of ring mod and shaper box to do volume automation. Keep it cleaner, just make it more, I guess, like I said, clean and transparent to make that kick shine through just a little bit more. For production wise, I wasn't too worried about it, so I was like, okay, I'll just use kilohertz. But yeah, a lot of distortion here. Yeah, that's kind of a thing. Distortion, huge thing. Something here. This is... I have no idea what this sound is. I'm gonna be real. But it's a triple bass, so it's got like this vinyl sound on it. Got the 1930s. Kind of gives it that character. I can just hit... That's what it sounds like without it. That's all it is. It's just a little... It's a little bit of a post-drop fake-out thing. Pretty fun. And then for the main layer... Well, this isn't really the main layer. This is more of like a growly womp layer, just which has a lot of processing on it. This is kind of scary. But yeah, square wave, dangerous saw, combination of champions. Adds a lot of tone. Filtering, we're doing all kinds of effects. I'm cutting, like doing notch filters, OTT, 3 OTTs, another OTT, phaser flanger, fat rack plus the gnarl rack, a bit warmer, gating it so it doesn't sound so like wobbly. It's very tight, very clean. I do a lot of gating to keep those clean. A little bit more EQing, dynamic tube to give it more grit, dimension expander for width, I guess. Pro Q, mid-side cut, gotta get rid of those sides. Channel strip, fresh air, bringing up brightness, cutting sub, and then G-clip. We're clipping the actual living hell out of it. But it gives it more distortion. Moving down, we can move on to a little smaller bass. Kind of like, I don't really know how to describe this. Kind of like a squelchy thing. Squelchy but gritty, doing compression, EQing, and then using newfangled saturate here because I wanted a more clean tone. Lots of EQ. I don't know. Yeah, lots of EQ. Give it nice that clean tone. And we also have a yoinky thing. I don't know what this is. Yeah, that's a thing. Using Serum 1, I guess. Yeah, that sounds pretty fun. Also, as you can tell, gating it, doing a lot of processing, channel strip, and then newfangled saturate using soft clip mode this time. Get a little bit softer. There should be something that might be over here. Yeah, so now I guess it's time to break down the main bass. This is where we get a little bit fun. This is where it's going to get really complex. So this is what this main bass sounds like if you saw my reel earlier. It's the full sound. It's a combination of 3 different layers here. We have, this is mostly doing the work. This is controlling most of the LFO automation. Make it tight. Yeah, that also has more gating, disperser, amp, reverb. This is doing like a metallic reverb thing. Corpus for tonal, OTT, EQing the low end. So when I go into the saturator, it distorts more, especially when you get to this dynamic tube. That just adds that grit. That grit there, I just wanted that. More G clipping, Camel Crusher, and then the channel strip, which, yeah, just turning it down. And that's also going to our main bus routing, which I'll get to in a second. We also have a transient, just like a glassy thing, not doing much. And then a noise transient, which then all comes into this EQ, going through another dynamic tube, adding more grit, a newfangled saturate for clean tone, multi-band splitter to control the highs, adding width to the mids, giving out nice wide sounds, EQing out this tone, because we don't want that. A little too much. Fresh air. Adding more fresh air. And then a final G-clip. And that's how you get the main tone. That main tone is also layered with multiple synth layers. Some staccato strings from Albion 1, just 2 layers of them. Followed by pluck. So anything. And there's just some effects down there. A growl here. So then we used I used vocals here. This is good old Markiplier, if you recognize this. Where he's talking about the bite. Followed by a little crush sound from, pretty sure, FNAF 3, the mini-games. Goes to our B section, following a different melody, which has this little yoi sound, just pulled from a sample, distorting, call it a day. Then we get to this little like post, like B section fake out, which starts with a growl. It has this rising sounds. A nice Sharks Reese from my buddy Trey. Shout out Trevor X. The man himself. Followed by Laser Riser, more distortions. And then down at the bottom here, we have a call from the voice tapes of the FNAF 3 when he's like puts on the voice tapes. He's like, hey, check this out. I found this. Glitches out, falls, and we go into our B section. Which isn't much different, except for that. Yeah, that just goes into the break, but going into the break, we have...
It's in there somewhere, I'm sure you'll see it.
Kind of this, like, hey, like... Oh, it's in there somewhere. It's like, yeah, we just found it. Anyway, moving on. Going into the break, we have this pad that comes in, playing the chord progression. More of the synths. The synths come back. ARP plays in the background. Cello drone. Those ambience come back. And then we go into... Where's it at? Gotta find it. It's somewhere in here. Here it is, the hyper lead. Yeah, this lead is probably one of my most used leads in every single track. I love using this lead. It's pretty much just, yeah, it's an 80s lead. Some PWM on it. Doing some EQing. And compressing. Boosting the width here. More EQ. And then soft clipping it just to get a little bit louder without that distortion. Which then kind of plays into the build-up. This is LURV's build-up as well. Yeah. Trying to... Is there any last-minute things? That's going to do it for about up to what I mostly worked on. Oh, that reminds me. Before we hand it over to LURV, we got to hit the outro. The outro is quite literally the most basic thing ever. It is the ambience from the intro. So, you know, very basic stuff. But then in the music box from... I forget where this one comes from. This comes from Five Nights at Freddy's 2. So just pulled it in. We had Super VHS doing some distortion stuff, Redux, RC20, kind of more distortion filtering, Lighted 76, compression again, just compressing it. And this will come in just a second here. It starts glitching out. And then this Redux kicks in, as you can tell down here. And that's it. We get some more sounds. This distortion sound, and then the crush, followed by tape unload. And that is the end of the track. Now, to find out more about LURV's beautiful section, I'm going to hand it over directly to him because I don't know what he did. So here is LURV.
Hello everybody, welcome to my project breakdown of the second drop. I did this. I also helped a little bit with other parts of the song, but this is a lot of the sound design I did for the second drop. So to start, we've got the main layer main idea of this drop is this ARP right here. Let's see if I can solo it, if I remember how to solo it. This is a plugin called Chipsynth 64. It's what I use a lot for chiptune stuff nowadays. It's fine, it works. So That's the chord progression. Feel free to steal it. Don't do that. Actually, don't do that. We have in this section, Hyper has a few of the other stems transitioning out from the previous section, but we've got this good snare and stuff. We also have this Scary Space, which is a FNAF sample. I don't remember which game it's from, but it's just kind of chromaed and reverbed, so it makes a really cool pad. We've got this Harmer bass I made. That is incorrectly labeled as Harmer bass 2 when it should be Harmer bass 1, but that's okay. It's a cool riser, very cool riser. Let's see if I can bring this up. It has a weird phaser that just slowly rises. It's got some prism on it. I don't even remember what exactly I did to this, but it sounds cool. It's a cool riser. It's Harmer. It's awesome. This Serum bass, hold on, which one is this? This is bass 2, should be, I don't have any of this organized because that's lame. But this very, very subtle melodic riser is actually the same bass that is used in the background of the drop, which is this. It's the same exact bass, just pitched up a lot. This is a plugin with, or a preset with a lot of effects on it I've made. It sounds pretty cool. It's good for like bro steppy drops. I just had it in the background. And it makes a good riser here. We have this bass. It's a background layer to this section right here, where we combine these two to make this kind of pattern. It's kind of the underlayer for this main response bass of the drop. We also have, in the pre-drop, we've got this light space. I think this might be a phase-in preset. I don't remember. This just kind of goes throughout the whole drop. Then we got the actual pre-drop vocal.
The most important thing you want to watch for is the ventilation. This place will give you the spooks, man.
Yeah, this place will give you the spooks, man. I have also the ventilation sound effect from FNAF 2 in there as well to kind of, I don't know, it's funny. We also have this bass will come up in about 2 seconds, but basically this is just kind of supposed to be like a ringing, it's sped up version of the ARP here. And then it comes back in the main drop as a separate bass, but we'll get there later. Hyper guns here from the first drop. These are just, these act as kind of layers over the whole drop. They kind of draw a pattern, like melodic pattern here. I don't know, he can go more into depth on that. We also have this Scream 3, which I believe is Springtrap's jump scare. Just for shits and giggles. I don't care. And then we get into the actual drop. Oh yeah, this tail reverse is just this reverbed out reversed to kind of build into it better. And then in the actual drop, the main layer is this kind of, where is it? This ringing bass, ARP speed. This kind of goes throughout the whole first section of the drop. It's basically this ARP sped up like 4 times, and I added a bunch of effects to it, like pitch shifter to kind of give it that a lot of movement, as well as comb filter and frequency shifter that's gets turned on and off every, like 2 beats, every beat. So this kind of is throughout the entire drop, so it's fine. This, I think the next main layer is this guitar-y bass right here. This is the call to the drop. It's pretty simple. If I can pull up Serum, it's actually very minimal. It's just sync going down really fast with like a little bit of distortion, overdrive, and a bunch of OTT. But how it gets that guitar tone, I have an amp on here, Death Western. I use this a lot now. Very good amp. As well as some OTT and effects and clipping and whatnot. Gives it a really nice tone, and a lot of reverb. A lot of delay. So that's fine. And then, yeah, I have these response. This response section is pretty much just this, which I believe, yeah, this is a favorite method of mine for kind of tear outy guns. Just put like some sort of like noisy bass or snare hit in here, add some harmonics, and add some, mess around with the octaves, kind of just go for some overdrive and convolution reverb for guitar cabinets, and then OTT and compress to your heart's content, and it's fine. It sounds good. This, yeah, I already went over that. We have some background elements, like this one, very simple. It's just a very simple fast pluck. Kind of, there's a lot of like ear candy in the back of this drop. Like this, which I believe, it's very quiet, but this is another Finau sample that I just mess with. It's that. So I think is that Mangle? I don't remember. But yeah, that I just did a bunch of processing to that. In terms of what else do we got here? This bass, probably one of the weirdest basses I think I've ever made. Sounds like frogs kind of. I don't even know how to describe. We're gonna, I think, where is it? We got, yeah, the frog bass. It's so, I don't even know what I did here, other than a lot of compression and pitch, just phase distortion, some random wavetables. It's kind of just ear candy in the back. If it's unsettling, that's good. That's what I was going for. This bass, hold on. A lot of the fills I use just like a very short rim hat, like or rim drum, snare, whatever, and then I just completely destroyed it with the effects. Like you got blood overdrive times 100 here. We also have what's the other bass here? Other fills we have are this growl, which Hyper sent me. That's a growl, all right. Let's see what else we got here. We've got what else do we have here? We've got Hi Boy. This was that's just a Serum preset. A little bit of processing on it. We have a lot of filters here. I think that's about it for this part of the drop. We also have this bass right here. is one of my favorite basses I made in the drop, actually. Where is it? Yeah. So basically, how I did this was I took this ARP. I love using that ARP. And I put it into Edison, and while recording, it's a method I like to do for complex basses and stuff. I just scrubbed it, like, back and forth. I got some cool sounds out of it. And then I just kind of made patterns out of it, and I added a lot of processing to it to make it beefier, layered it with itself as well. And it turned out pretty well. One of my favorite methods. We have, let's see, that goes towards the end of the first section here. We've got the Toy Chica vocal. If you know what that's from, that's awesome. It's funny. Springtrap Scream here, and then we go into this cinematic section here, which is inspired by the end of the first drop in Final Nights 1. You can go back and listen to it. It just goes like, yeah, whatever. So kind of a homage to that. We have ARP as well. We've got all the drums here. We've got froggy bass and light spaces as well. And then we've got some more cinematic stuff. We've got this Super Saw patch that I've love to use in like almost every melodic song. So yeah, I think I used that in Final Nights 1 as well. We also have the brass here, which I'm using. Where is it? I'm using Sign Player for that. Very good brass hits. And then we also have the violin stack, which is kind of just makes a downward pattern. I really like this kind of. I'm using two separate violin patches. I think I'm using Symphony Orchestra and a Sign Player for strings. So yeah, it turned out pretty well. A lot of OTC on that. And then in between each section, we also have like that's okay. We have some bass hits, as well as this bass, which I think is a Morgan preset. That's probably why I labeled it like that, but it's very messed with. Yeah, I probably did. I added a lot of effects to that. And then we have some more Hummer basses I made. Let's see if I can pull that up. This is another like weird phaser-y kind of growly bass that I made in Hummer. I'm still getting used to the plugin, but it's fun. Where is it? Also incorrectly labeled. But that's fine. So that's pretty much it for the end of the drop. So yeah, I hope you guys learned something, maybe. And big things are coming, I think. I don't know, I don't care. I don't make music anymore. This is the last project I'm ever going to release. See you guys.
Here comes first all.